Okay, we're on. 8:10 p.m. on the 1st of February. Let's switch that on silent because we do not want a billion interruptions from the family group chat. I've got little miss here next to me having a little snoozy woozy. Well, we'll see about that. She's just had a big feed. But I wanted to it's going to be lengthy. I wanted to jump on here and talk about my birth story now that I'm 2 weeks postpartum. And it has been the most beautiful transition into being a mother of 2. Now, I wanted to do something similar for my first birth, which most of you know, whoever has been following me all that time, it was a planned home birth, which I ended up transferring to hospital for. And it was a very traumatic birth for me. And it's something that I lived with every single day, all these years on, and can finally say that the story in my head about birth and what birth has been for me, has definitely been rewritten. So if that doesn't preface this story, I would definitely say that this second birth of mine with my daughter I would say is 3 things. So it was a unmedicated, uninterrupted water birth. So that is what I'm going to be discussing today. She looks like she's going to crack it. No, she's just settled. Now, first thing, I think I should preface this as well, aside from that little 3 word description, with a little trigger warning. Firstly, that this is definitely a positive birth story, and I put that as a trigger warning because a lot of people don't get this experience, and I obviously feel very fortunate to have this experience. You never know which way it's going to go. Well, I think you do know some sort of the way, but yeah, you definitely have an element of things could turn to poo. The other trigger warning I want to give is that I may make mention of my first birth with the traumatic side of things, which involved medical coercion, degradation by hospital staff to like the nth degree, and a birth that was really overall the most disempowering birth I've heard of, amongst the people closest to me. So if I and also trigger warning for the cascade of interventions as well, that can trigger a lot of people when we talk about interventions and how that all unfolded for me with the birth of my son, the firstborn, I should say. So let's begin. I'm gonna split this video into 2. The first bit is going to be about how the birth unfolded for my daughter, the second birth. And then the other side of this, the second part, is going to be how I got there, because I don't think it's fair to talk about my birth with my daughter and discuss the highs of, it was really the most magical birth. I cannot say I could have asked for a more perfect birth. And I can't say that and then people say to me, or people think, oh, well, or particularly pregnant women, because I'm doing this because I think that there is so much like that pregnant women don't know about birth and they leave to chance. And I think that really bothers me. I don't think birth is one of those things that you should leave to chance or get lucky for. I think that it requires a lot of preparation, and that's on you as a woman in your pregnancy to do the work, because you don't get a do-over on birth day. So I don't want to just talk about my birth story and talk about how awesome it was and then be told that I just got lucky, because I didn't. So I want to talk about how I got there and the things that I did in my pregnancy to get there. And hint, it does not involve red raspberry leaf tea and dates and shit like that. Anyway, forms of induction of labor, I might say. Anyway, okay, so how did my birth go? So 39 weeks and 5 days. I had the most magical date night with my partner and my son. We went to Barbecue K in Jackson Court. Hi, Missy, what's going on? Michaela, hey. Might just give her a little cuddle. She's going for a little wiggle. Hi, baby. Hi, Georgie. Oh, honey. Just give you a little cuddle. Yes, so we went out for a beautiful date night to Barbecue K, and we had such a fun time there. It was my first time eating Korean barbecue, which was to die for. And then we went to the Oval next door. It was a beautiful summer's night, and we kicked the soccer ball with my son. And picture me, 39 and 5 weeks pregnant, running around the football oval. Everybody was looking at me, and I was in this bright purple singlet. That was the epitome of my pregnancy, because it was like the only singlet I could wear by the end. It was like a fitness top. And so I just felt like I was on cloud 9, kicking the soccer ball with my son and my partner. We were laughing the night away. We met beautiful people at the park. And it was just such a wholesome night. And Mike and I got into bed that night, and we were saying about how just fantastic we feel. Like the oxytocin was flowing to the nth degree. I love how she's quieting down listening to this story. This is how you were born. Yes, this is how you were born. Oh gosh. And so I remember thinking like, shit, things could kick off, because I felt that fantastic after this night. But also, I forgot to say, the day, it was a day filled with pampering myself. I don't know if you guys remember that Instagram story that I posted, and it was about how the things that I was doing that day to pamper myself. I wanted to I went and got my eyebrows threaded. I did my own shellac. I had washed my hair and straightened my hair that day, which, whoever knows me, my hair is always in like a bun, or some kind of like low bun or whatever, mid bun, whatever it's called. And I, straightened my hair. My hair's down to my ass. Oh, bless you. Oh no, we can't be looking for the booby. I just fed you. Down to my bum, so it's really long and it's really luscious, and, well, I wouldn't say luscious, it's kind of a bit dead on the ends, but really long. Like, I haven't had hair length like this since high school. And so, yeah, I just felt fabulous. I felt fabulous. And then we had such a beautiful night all together. Mikey and I got into bed pretty late. I think it was like 11:30. And I pretty much fell asleep straight away. Then at 1:30 in the morning, I woke up to the shock of my life with my waters breaking. Like, the gush, it woke me up from my sleep, and I pounced out of bed so fast that I did not even drip a drop of this I don't even know how many liters of fluid came out of me on my run to the toilet. I just shot up out of bed and legged it. And I said to Mike, oh my God, my waters are broken. And he was like, what? And I was like, I need to leg it. Like, I can't stand here. I did, I just ran. Anyway, his first thing was, oh my God, I haven't slept yet. 1:30 in the morning. He hadn't slept yet. And I was like, fuck, Michael, like, you literally, I cannot have you unslept, because I know how I work. I don't want to put people out. And in the back of my mind will be, oh my gosh, I don't want him to do counter pressure. I don't want to ask for counter pressure. I don't want to ask for a snack or whatever. Actually, speaking of which, I did not get my water bottle for this, which is not great, because I'm already parched. Anyway, I don't want to ask for what I don't want to ask for, counter pressure, or I don't know how long this labor is going to be. Like, if we're in for a long run, like my first labor was 3 days. It was a 3-day total labor from start of contractions to birth. And there was no break in between that, in the sense of like those first 2 days, those first 48 hours, it was no sleep. And it was contractions, and even though they'd be like 8 minutes apart, mate, contractions startle you at the best of times, and there is no chance you're getting sleep. Well, that was my experience anyway. And no position is comfortable with that first labor. Christian was so deep in my pelvis that I couldn't sit down, like I couldn't sit. So I couldn't sit, I couldn't lay. Contractions are awful. Well, for me, they're both times now. I can say they were awful both times when I was on my back. Oh, sorry, on my side, because you can't be on your back. On your side, it just feels like 30 times worse on your side. And so, yeah, I was like, if we've got a few days in us this second time around, or even a day, or even 10 hours, how are you going to function not having slept? Anyway, if there's one thing Mike always says is that he's not afraid of not sleeping. And he lived his life for many, many years having minimal sleep. And so I was like, he will never complain and use it as like a way to get out of things. He's very much just get on with it kind of guy. So anyway, Mike was like, I haven't slept yet. And I was like, okay, fuck, get to sleep now, because I have a feeling things are going to kick off. I am very well, like, I just feel it in my bones that things are going to really kick off. But then what we did is I needed his help because I was beyond shocked. And I also couldn't get off the toilet for like an hour. It was just running back and forth, back and forth. This liquid was gushing out of me unbelievably, like unbelievable amounts for an hour plus. I just felt like I had to quickly, like, at this point I'd put like a postpartum nappy diaper thing on because there was just so much liquid. I couldn't get off the toilet without one. And even then I think I changed like 3 or 4 in that space of an hour. Like I was like, this is unbelievable, the amount of fluid. Anyway. And then he helped me pack my hospital bag because I had done probably about 60% of it at this point at 1:30 in the morning. And I still had, because there's so many things that you can't put in your hospital bag because you need them at the last minute, like all of your birth tools, your toiletries, the last minute things of like the snacks that you want to take to hospital, and you're filling up your water bottle and grabbing the coconut water from the fridge, and you know, all the last minute things, taking your pillow, and you know, fuck, all the things. Anyway, so it was about 60% packed. We had some important things in there, and other times, and other things were just not in there. So we went through the list, and I should actually post my list. I've got my laptop here. I should actually post my list to this video. I'm going to post a few links and stuff. I think that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be my first YouTube. Because I feel like YouTube is going to be the place that I can redirect everyone with this information. Instagram, I don't think is the right platform for a video of this kind. I don't know how long it's going to be either. But yeah, I have heaps of stuff that needed to be put in at the last minute. So Michael was helping me do that because I was kind of in a bit of like a daze in terms of like, oh my God, this is legit happening. And I can't move. Like, I feel like I can't move. This liquid is just unbelievably, like, it's just gushing. It's ridiculous. So I was one of the very few people that had their waters break, which is a very uncommon thing. In my first labor with Christian, I didn't have that at all. It was very much like my waters just never broke. And then when I got to hospital, they broke my waters to see if things would progress, because after 2 days, we were still at only 3 to 4 centimeters dilated. So anyway, back to Michaela, gorgy girl. I ended up putting my head down on my pillow at 3 a.m. So 1:30 a.m. waters broke, rushing around until 2:30, 2:45 a.m. Like a mad woman trying to pack all the last minute shit in the hospital bag. Reading the list, and then going and forgetting what I needed to pack, and then coming back and reading the list. Like I was in a daze, you know? Couldn't believe it. And then I was like, fuck, I've only slept 2 hours as well. Like I really need to have sleep in order to like endure what I don't know what this is going to be like. I know I need sleep. Put my head down on my pillow, 3 a.m, put my phone to charge. Within not even 30 seconds, the first contraction hit me. And I was like, hello, bless you. I was like, hello, my old friend. Holy shit, this is a contraction, and this is pretty spicy from the outset. I just got shivers thinking back. I remember thinking like, fuck, I don't remember them being this full on with Christian, because I went 2 days contracting that I later realized after they broke my waters was at like a 3 out of 10 contraction. very much able to talk through those contractions for 2 days, breathe through them, sway, no problem. These ones were a little bit spicy, and I kind of went, fuck, am I just like forgetting what they were like, or are they actually spicy? I have no idea. One of the things I tried to train my mind about was forgetting about how long things are going to take and not focusing on how many contractions I'm going to have before she's born or anything futuristic. It's focusing on this contraction in the now, what I'm doing to make this contraction better. And so I was like, don't think about how spicy, just don't think about it. Just get through every single contraction, breathe through it. And yeah, but 8 contractions. I didn't wake Michael up because Michael was asleep next to me. He'd finally gotten to bed at 3 a.m. with me, and he literally had less than an hour of sleep because within 8 contractions, I had to like get up from bed, and I was already struggling through those 8 contractions in terms of like, I could not just breathe through these contractions. So I kind of woke Michael up and I said, listen, I'm definitely having contractions and I'm not wanting to preempt anything, but they're pretty spicy. Like, I don't want to call our midwives yet. So one thing I should say as well, our birth choices, because I haven't spoken on this before. I had a planned home birth with Christian. We transferred. I wanted to have a home birth with Michaela, but I had a really big bleed with Christian in the hospital, which we found out was because of the episiotomy, because I got all my Freedom of Information documents, and that was something that was important to my midwife, because if things kicked off at home and I did make it to the hospital, she wanted to know that my bleed wasn't because of something that was because of me, in case we needed to birth at home, which I was very happy about if that's how it went down. And so, yeah, we found out that it was because of, they put down that the reason for it was because of the episiotomy, which is what I had with Christian. If you don't know what that is, look it up. And so, yes, where was I? Fuck. I don't remember where I was. Anyway, the contractions had kicked off. She's sleeping. Oh, gorgeous girl. Let me pop you in your crib. There you go, baby. Good girl. There you go, honey. Contractions had kicked off. Sorry, my leg's going numb. Oh. And so I woke Michael up and I said, don't call the midwives yet, but I was talking about my birth choices. Fuck yeah. All right. Wanted a home birth. Didn't want to go down the same route of like needing to transfer, and so we or taking the risk because I'd had the big bleed. We didn't know whether that was because of me at the time. This was at like 20 weeks. We hadn't yet even considered getting my documentation from the hospital, and so we hired a private midwife who I can honestly say, hands down, I would recommend to absolutely every single person. I didn't realize with my first birth how important it is to have your team, your birth team, be chosen very specifically for what you need. I knew this time I needed a midwife who was hands-on, who directed what positions I needed to get into, what Mikey could be doing to help me, what just all the things, I guess, you know. Because in my first birth, my midwife sat in the corner of the room in a chair the entire time without any direction of like position changes or really anything, which after 2 days of labor, you got to consider that like we're obviously doing something wrong or baby's position is not optimal. Let's try and do stuff to get baby into a better position. But there was none of that. So I knew this time I needed 2 things. I needed a midwife who was hands-on and directive. And I also needed a midwife who was a bulldog in the hospital room, that if shit hit the fan and the obstetrician came in saying exactly what he did the first time for me, which was, I'm 52, you're 25, I live in the real world, you live in some fantasy world where you want what you want, upon greeting me with my legs up in stirrups, having pushed for 2 hours, that she would say, get the out of here, how dare you. like that kind of a bulldog, you know, which seems pretty basic, but believe me, it's not. So we chose Shelley from Mama Toto Midwives, which was such a, like, it was such a God thing. How it all happened, I messaged a wonderful guy on Instagram and got some recommendations on the midwives that his wife had chosen. And I have to message him to thank him for that. That's actually something that's reminded me to do that. And I just sussed her. I was like, hey, I've had the most traumatic birth. There's so much that went down. We talked about all of it. And she was like, I really need to help you. I can't take you on, but I'm going to find someone who can. In her team, and this is with Mama Toto Midwives. And then I got a call from Shelley a couple of days later saying, hey, look, I can fit you in January, because we were due in Jan is a busy month, but I can definitely fit you in. And we knew that we were planning on having her at the hospital. Back to our birth choices. So wanted a home birth this time, didn't quite get to like getting there because of the bleed and not taking the risk, and Mikey's first time, and all the things, the considerations that come into this decision. And then hiring Shelley, which was a big expense, but it was so worth it. And knowing that we were going to hospital with Shelley. So she was a private midwife hired to come with us to hospital. And also be at home for our labor, for my labor. Anyway, and then I said, don't call Shelley. Let's get back to the birth story, because now that you know, we had a private midwife who was with us from 20 plus weeks. A very late decision at that. If you want her, you need to get onto her early. And I said, don't call Shelley yet, because like, surely this is not anywhere near as spicy as it's going to get. And I don't want to call her too early. Plus it's also 3 a.m. and I'm interrupting her sleep with her kids at home. And if I'm being a pussy, like, that's not going to be great, because if she comes and it's a false alarm, yeah, she can go home, but it's also not great. I'm putting her out. And I don't like doing that, remember? So I'm like breathing through them, and then I'm like, nah, I think after like 12 contractions, by this stage, I'm like breathing and unable to stop, like rocking during contractions, breathing so like deep and just almost like a mini roar in my breath, like full on contractions already. And it hadn't even been like within the first hour. I think we called Shelley at like 4:30 because I kept trying to push through, and then I was like, okay, yeah, nah, this is legit. She wanted to hear me have a contraction on the phone, and as soon as she heard me, she's like, okay, yep, we are definitely, I'll meet you at the hospital. And I was like, there is no fucking way I'm going to the hospital now, because if I get there and I have to be there for 12 hours, I'm not going to cope. Hospitals are already a triggering environment for me because of the first birth, and I didn't want to give anyone the opportunity to intervene in any way, shape or form. Our plan was, you are going to be walking into that hospital about to give birth, because we don't want any opportunity for any doctor, obstetrician to walk in the door and say, oh, we should use forceps, or oh, have you considered an induction, or like a partial induction at that point if you're in labor, or anything. We want to do everything we can at home before we then transfer into hospital. And she wanted me to be roaring down the hallway when we got there. And so I was like, there's no chance, like, okay, I hear you, and I'm trusting your judgment, but like, I didn't believe the entire time until I was literally pushing her head out that I was going to be giving birth that quickly. So I jump into the shower. I'm like, I can't sit here. I can't lie here. This is just fucked. I need to get into the shower. Now, I can only describe it as like a startling kind of sensation. I wasn't in like agony where I was like, I need an epidural, but it was definitely spicy enough to the point where I could not talk through it. I had to breathe through it. And I wasn't yet dazed between contractions. Like, I was very much alert, awake, talking to Mikey, directing him like, hey, don't forget the water. Hey, you know, this is where that is, or whatever he was asking me at the time. Go to the shower. Have the, not the top part of the shower, like the body one. I have it on me, on my tummy, because all my contractions were in my tummy again this time. And I was in like a state of bliss. Like, it felt so good to be in there. Mikey came in with me and was like doing light touch, and it was just such a beautiful thing. But then it was like, oh fuck, if we need to get to the hospital, like, you need to get out and pack everything. The poor guy was scrambling. He had so much to put together. He did it like an absolute champion though, and without like interrupting me. Like, the door was closed, and for the most part the door was closed. He knew he just had to make decisions on things and get to getting. And yeah, so by that stage we'd also called our Box Hill midwife, because I got accepted into the MGP program very, very late, about 34 weeks, which is very rare. They had a vacancy open up, and because they knew my profile and my history and everything that happened in the first birth, I guess I was a priority. Again, I don't know how this happened. People have to like be part of the, like, get the referral for the MGP program from like 6 to 8 weeks in order to be accepted. But again, another God thing, I don't know. This was at the last minute, got accepted into the MGP program, which is where you have the same midwives, 2 of them, for the continuation of your pregnancy, and you're able to like fulfill that continuity of care through them. So you don't have different midwives every appointment and different obstetricians or whatever. You have your same midwives the whole way through, which is wonderful. And yeah, I had an amazing experience, even though it was only for 5.5 weeks with them. Anyway, and so I we called Tara as well, and I just said, look, these are really picking up. They're pretty like 3 minutes to 4 minutes apart. Not that we were timing, but within 10 minutes I was having 2 to 3 contractions, like for real. Goodies too, like really good ones. And she wanted to listen to me as well. They listen to you, how you're coping. And I was like, just breathing heavily, trying to like, I just know once the peak's over the contraction, it's fine. We're coming back down. It's hit the peak and we're coming back down. You've got this. You've made it through the hardest part. Breathe it out. And she listened to me as well, and she was like, yeah, I am going to call the ladies at the hospital to fill up the bath, because I'll meet you there. And that was a second confirmation that like, okay, yeah, they think that I'm like in active labor, I guess. And although I kept saying to myself, this can't be it. This can't be it. Like, I'm going to be reaching the next highs, because like, this can't just be it, you know? So get in the car. Mikey's packed the thing, bless him. Get in the car, and I'm like cuddling the seat, because I like can't sit down. I'm like up on my knees in the front seat, cuddling the headrest. And I have my eye mask on at this stage. That was the best thing, I reckon, in the entire world, was having my eye mask. Because it meant that I didn't know where I was, what was going on. I just could feel everything, and I couldn't see. So my senses were heightened with my ears and my smell and my feeling like within. And it also meant that I didn't get like triggered in a way when I got to hospital, because we had to go through emergency. I didn't see anything. Like, I was very much just dealing with the next contraction, breathing through, being wheelchaired through Box Hill Hospital. Again, sitting reverse on my knees in the wheelchair, facing the lady that was pushing me. So funny. What a superstar. And yeah, and then got swiftly moved up into the birth suite, and I didn't even know I was there because I had my eye mask on the whole time. It was fucking amazing. So I was told, we had a game plan by my midwife, my private midwife, Shelley, was, as soon as we get in there, get your ass into that shower, shut the door, because we need to get the room ready. To which I was like, sweet, that sounds great to me. I love the shower at home, but at Box Hill Hospital, the shower kept going from like cold to hot and like boiling hot, like unable to like put it on me, to then cold, freezing cold again, and to boiling hot. And no matter what we did, I just like felt like I couldn't get it right. But it kind of was pivotal because it started to be when things started to feel like they weren't exactly going to plan. At home, my water was continuously perfect temperature. And at the hospital, I was like, yeah, here we fucking go. I can't rely on this apparatus being the shower to help me through. So I need to get my head together and like work around this inconvenience, you know? So I did. Whenever it was warm, I put it on. The other times I just held it. Mikey was there pretty much the whole time doing counter pressure. So he would like squeeze my hips and like squeeze from the back and lift up, squeeze from the back and lift up through like my hip bones. And that felt, phenomenal. I can't tell you, that was like fantastic. If it wasn't anything else, it was just a distraction from the pain, but it genuinely felt like it helped the pain like a lot. It just made the contraction, I can't say the whole experience was painful. Like I'll talk about that later. If anything, I put it down as a pain-free birth because I genuinely felt like the whole time I was well and truly in control. I never begged for any medication or was like, I can't do this at all. Like the entire time I was very much like, that was a good one, let's go again. And I'll get to that, more of that like self-talk later because it is wild. Anyway, got in the shower, had what felt like a fair few contractions in there. I was probably in there for like an hour plus. Again, I don't know timelines because I was not aware of the time at all. And so I had Mikey in there, and then Shelley came in a lot and was doing this like, felt like a knuckle on my like middle of my, like the top of my butt, like right at the top of your butt where your like crack starts. These knuckles, I just remember her like fucking getting in there. And it's because the whole way through my pregnancy, I had this like really weird pain on my left upper glute, in like on the side of my sacrum, which was like such an uncomfortable thing. And so she was getting right in there and it felt amazing. She was getting in there really hard too. So I was like, every time a contraction would come on, all I could feel was her knuckles. I'm going to be so fucking bruised tomorrow, but this feels phenomenal, right? And all I kept saying to them both was like, thank you guys so much. I love you guys so much. This feels so great. Like this pain is phenomenal. I leaned in to the pain and I genuinely, I don't know how many times I said this pain is like so good. And I think part of me was like bringing out what I wanted to feel for my birth with Christian. I wanted to feel the birth. I wanted to, there's a transition into motherhood called matrescence. Matrescence, and it's about how you transition into motherhood, and that birth journey is like integral in transitioning you into motherhood. You feel the sensations, you feel the pressure, you feel your baby coming out, and it's supposed to be like the transition into motherhood. And so I kept saying like, this pain is like phenomenal. I can so do this. And yeah, so the shower was in for a long time. Shelley and Mikey were doing their things individually. I had my LED candle in the corner, which was like a colourful LED from Bunnings. They were flipping amazing. There were 3 of them. They're LED candles, but they've got a real wax look and feel. They're real wax, but they're LED candles, and they got a billion different colours, and it was wonderful. Not that I could see, but at times I had to take my eye mask off because I needed to like grab the water or hold onto the pole or whatever, and then I'd put it back down. But I could see that the candle was like making the shower really like not well lit, but like beautifully lit with colour. And it was colour red. I remember that. I'm like, yeah, power. This is exactly what I need, the colour red. And so then it was like, okay, is that bath ready, guys? Because it's been a fucking hour and I'm like ready to go into the bath. Then it was like, we need to put a cannula in because in case you have a bleed. I already knew all of this before I walked in there. They ran through everything with me and I said, yeah, that's fine. As long as I'm not like about to give birth we can put a cannula in, that is not a problem. And so I had to do a few contractions on the bed with my arm out like that. I was just like on the edge of the bed, kind of like with my head down, swaying while my MGP midwife put that in. That was awful because, like, I mean, I have shit veins to begin with, but the pain of that injection, like the cannula, and needing to like write out a contraction, knowing that they had a very limited amount of time before the next one hit, because I was like rolling back to back, contraction after contraction at this point. Anyway, we got through it. Tara did such a great job putting it in, bless her heart. And then I was like, okay, I want to lie down on the bed because I had been standing for a long time at this point. And I was humongous. Like, my tummy was huge by the end of it. So that weight forward, I was like, I definitely feel like I need to have like either on all fours or just have a rest from standing up straight. And even though Mike did such a good job at reminding me to like relax, and, you know, Shelley had her knuckles in my, like, the back of my sacrum and was helping to like release my pelvic floor. Mike did a lot of like rebozo, shake the apple stuff. I don't know if anyone knows that, but it's where you like shake your butt cheeks really fast and it helps you to like relax your pelvic floor and your hamstrings and everything in your posterior chain. And it helped tremendously. I would say, hey, Mike, I need you to shake the apples. That's what it's called. Like you're shaking an apple tree, trying to get the apples down. And I knew when I was like too tense, especially like through my glutes and my pelvic floor and my hamstrings and everything, like I did it probably about 4 or 5 times throughout the course of my labor. And then, so I said, I feel like I need to lie down, but I want the peanut ball between my legs. And throughout this whole experience, I had been moving instinctually because, remember, I had the eye mask on the whole time and I could really feel what my body, just whatever positions I wanted to be in, that's what I was doing. You know, I was doing like deep squats between contractions and stretching out. Like, I had read this thing before I gave birth, and it was talking about how much your an extension of your lat and your rib, like expansion of your ribs, really can help your birth. If you want to know more about it, look it up, but you need to have some space through there. And so towards the back end of my pregnancy, I did a lot of like thoracic mobility, a lot of lat stretching, a lot of like, rib expansion work and diaphragmatic breathing and all of that stuff, which will come into the preparation stuff later. I just realized it's getting really dark in here. I don't think it's necessarily a problem, but we're just going to keep recording because I'm 40 minutes in and I'm talking everybody's ear off. And so I, kept moving very instinctually, and I just felt like I needed to get on the bed and put the peanut ball between my knees, because I knew I was getting close. When I was in the shower for that hour plus amount of time, I was strategically breathing baby down. So I was doing my J breathing in the shower, which is where you like breathe and direct that pressure down and out. So you're breathing like down into your pelvic floor, I guess, but it's not, I'm not really describing it very well. You know, when you cough, like when you cough and you tense your muscles through your like hips, like breathing through and down into those muscles and then carrying out your breath and then starting again. So you're creating like a J shape. So you're breathing in and down, slowly moving that breath down, 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 down and out. And I truly think that after I started strategically doing these J breaths in the shower, and obviously through the contractions I was doing this breathing, I felt her like moving downwards, and I kept saying, I can feel her moving down. This is so great. Like, we're working so well together, her and I. I really trusted her the whole way through, that she knew what she was doing, and so did I. And because I had the eye mask on, I really felt it as well. I didn't have the distraction of looking at the tiles on the wall or, you know, people walking behind me or whatever. Like, I had no idea where people were in the room or anything but dark black, and all I could feel was her and me. So got on the bed, had the worst 5 contractions, being like holding Michael to my face, being like, holy, this is full on because I knew they get worse when you lay on your side. But even with the peanut ball literally looks like a peanut. How do I describe it? I'll just grab my son's footy. Peanut ball, it kind of looks like a peanut, right? And you like put your legs between it. You put your legs between it, but it forces your knee, like your top leg, to be kind of put outwards. So your knees are closer together than your ankles are. Your ankles are further apart than your knees. They were the worst 5 contractions throughout the entire labor. And I held Michael so close, like squeezing the absolute kajeebas out of him for the duration of those 5 contractions before I was like, okay, I'm done here. I need to get up. And then the bath was ready, which was fantastic. So it was a smooth transition over. Actually, I think I popped into the shower for a few more because I just needed to like shake off those contractions. They were pretty full on. And breathing, rocking, squeezing Michael the whole way through them. And then jumped into the shower for a few more contractions, and then the bath was ready. Got into the bath, and I just remember thinking, yes, this is exactly what I need. I think everything that I did in the course, like in the hospital, just worked really well. Even though the peanut ball contractions sucked, I knew that they were doing something good. And it was only 5 of them. Like it was, I don't know, maybe 15-20 minutes worth of time in that position. So, and once the contractions are over, it's not a problem. It's fantastic. You're quiet and you're definitely focused. You're in a bit of a daze. Like you feel like, oh, okay, give me a minute. I just need to recollect myself and then I can go again. But they were definitely the worst contractions, and I was very glad to be in that bath. So water temperature was amazing. It was filled pretty high up, which was also amazing. I could very well like get my body in the water, and I was on all fours at this point, because you can't really be, I mean, I don't know how else people get in the bath, but all fours is kind of the only way to go. And Mike, the entire time that I was in the bath, which was not a long time at all, had the running water on my back. So he had the shower head thing running the whole time on my back. And I, at this point, became my own hype girl. Oh, I missed a part. When I was in the shower after the peanut butter, oh my God, the peanut ball contractions, I ended up wanting, because you constantly have to empty your bladder. There's a few things that you need to know when you're in labor that can help progress your labor, and that is that you need to be hydrated. You need to empty your bladder, empty your bowels, and there's another thing, and movement is key. Do not stop moving. I think that's Mikey. I think it is. Oh my God, how long have I been talking for? Oh my God, 8:55. Hi, honey. Hello. Hi, baby. I'm recording birth story.
That's pretty cool. That's amazing.
I know. I'm up to the part where I got back into the shower and was saying to the midwives that I need to push, and then I was like in full denial. I was like I'm not pushing out a baby. I need to push out a poo.
Yeah.
And then they were like, I think it's time to get into the bath. And I was like, no, I'm not ready yet. This cannot be it. Like I'm not in that much pain yet. Like it's gonna get worse.
She's in her pajamas.
She is. I did it just for you. Do you love it?
I love it so much. Best thing of all time.
I love you.
Keep recording.
Anyway, so yeah, at this point, when I got back into the shower after I'd had those contractions with the peanut ball on the bed that sucked, I said to the midwives, like, I need to push. And they were like, what? And I was like, I need to push, but I don't need to push out a baby. I need to push out a poo. And they were like, I think it's time to get into the bath. And I was like, no, like I cannot be anywhere near pushing this baby out. I was in full denial. Let me sit on the toilet. So I sit on the toilet and nothing's happening. I'm just like, my body is like pushing, but nothing is coming out. Now, I had something very similar happen with Christian, but I was only 3 to 4 centimeters dilated, where I thought, I felt like I needed to wee. When I went to the toilet, my body like did these weird pushes, And I was like, I think my body's pushing. The midwife was like, sorry, what? And I was like, yeah, I think my body's pushing. And then I realized that, like, wait, I really need to wee and I'm not able to wee. And so then we had put a catheter in, which sucked. A catheter in because baby, like Christian was in the way of my bladder, or something was compressing my bladder, so my wee couldn't come out. And I was like, oh my God, no, I don't need to push a baby out. This baby is in the way of my bladder. This is what's happening again. Like, this happened to me last time. And the midwives were like, no, doll, you need to get into the bath. Next contraction, after the next one, you need to get into the bath. And I was like, you guys suck. I'm going to be in this bath for hours because you think I'm ahead than what I actually am. And then they convinced me. They're like, move, let's go. They just kind of grabbed me and I was like walking with my eyes shut because like I couldn't fucking see shit. And got there into the bath, felt amazing. Mikey had the water running on my back. Shelley was still doing counter pressure, and it was just like a whole team, but I was hyping. Should we talk about how I hyped myself up, babe? Oh, don't worry, it's all good. He's distracting himself while I finish recording this. I became my own hype girl to like the fullest degree at this point. So I'm like between contractions talking to myself, full bore, talking to myself, saying everything that I was thinking. My midwife had told me a story about how she'd had a birth that week, that the girl just would not stop talking the entire time, and all she kept talking about was what she's scared of. And I'm scared that I'm, you know, the baby's going to be too big, or I'm scared I'm going to tear, or I'm scared. And she just kept talking about like the things that were giving her anxiety. And I was like, I think it's going to be me, because we'll talk about where my mindset was before that night with the oxytocin release and all of that stuff. And I said to her, that's going to be me. But it actually wasn't. I was the complete opposite. I was talking non-stop, but I was only talking things that were like affirming how fantastic fantastic the birth was going to be, how unison we were together, working as a team, her and I trust you. You've got, like, you're moving down. We're going to do this together. You're almost here. I can't wait to have you in my arms. I'm going to birth you like a fucking boss. I said everything. I'm a warrior. My midwives, I remember thinking, like, they don't need to even talk. I am talking for them. I am being my own hype girl, saying all the things that I like, that were giving me, and I was speaking them with confidence. I believed them. It wasn't like I was just in some fairy land talking all the things that I think I want to hear. I was like speaking these things to their truth, like to their truth. I truly believed everything that I was saying, and I said it authentically. Anyway, I can't imagine what my people in my birth room, being the two midwives, private and public, and then Mikey, were looking at each other thinking, because I legitimately, like, they did not need to talk. I talked for them. There was no need for them to give me encouragement because I did all that for myself. All they had to do was just keep that water running and direct me with like whatever. I think the only thing that I really heard from Tara, our midwife, was like, okay, I need you now to slow your breathing and like don't push. And I was like, okay, because your body just takes over. You're pushing through. It's like, you know, when you sit on the toilet and you take a shit and there's like this, I know this is a bit TMI, but this whole thing is TMI. Uncontrollably, your body just expels it. It just like bears down and expels it. That is literally what happened to me with her. That's what that exact same sensation of pushing out a poo is what it felt like, and my body just like bared down, and I held my breath instinctually, and I held my breath, but it wasn't like purple pushing. It was like instinctually held my breath to like bear down and then release. No one was coaching me throughout this process at all. It was literally, I had a mixture of worship music and R&B, and I think at this point some song that was like so ridiculous R&B came on. It was so funny. Mike had a laugh about it after, but I couldn't tell you what the song was because I legitimately wasn't even listening. And yeah, I am in the pool just rocking about in my position, stretching my back, like doing some hip mobility stuff, like just instinctually moving the entire time that these contractions are coming on, as well as speaking my own affirmations and being my own hype girl. And then yeah, before I knew it, I could feel her coming down lower and lower, and that's what I kept saying. She's almost here, she's coming down, I can feel her. And then before I knew it, my body started pushing instinctually, and there was a fair bit of like her moving in and out. I could feel that. It was like she was coming down and then slowly coming back in and coming down and slowly back in, and that was exactly what my body needed to prepare for me to push her out. And I remember thinking, like, this is exactly what we need to be doing. I wasn't disheartened by it. I wasn't like, why isn't she coming out? Like, why is this taking forever? It wasn't forever. I was pushing for a total of 40 minutes. And yeah, I think that I remember just thinking, like, this is all happening so magically, and this is exactly where I'm meant to be, exactly what my body wants to do, exactly where she's supposed to be in me is where we're at. And so, yeah, I pushed her out, and I felt like, first the head came out. Obviously, she wasn't breached. But I remember thinking the only time that I was like, holy dooly, this is next level, like, pain, was as, I don't know at what point her head was in, like, coming out, but there was a point where I felt the ring of fire, and I loved that. Like, I remember I was saying, this feels phenomenal, like it's burning, but it feels phenomenal. And then after the ring of fire kind of finished, because it kind of like, we got to pushing her out more, it was at that point that I was like, my breathing like completely changed. I was like, oh my God, like, oh my God. In all fours, being like, this is like a lot. And that was like 2 or 3 contractions of that. Before then her head was out, and then she came out with her arm on her face like this, and Tara, our midwife from Box Hill, held her hand there, because often babies, when they are born like that, they do like a reflex. They like lift their arm up or like lift their arm out or whatever, and that's how a lot of women tear, and tear quite drastically from what I was told. So she was like, I'm sorry I had to hold her hand there, because she didn't want to touch me at all. She wanted it to be an untouched birth. And I was like, are you kidding me? Thank you for helping me not tear, because I did not tear at all. And she was 4.6 kilos. So I literally 2 days in felt like I had no issue sitting, anything that requires you to wee. Like, I felt like I'd ridden a horse and gotten off and then could go again a few days later. Like, you know, when you ride a bike and you're a bit tender and you're a bit sore, that's what it felt like. And then I was like, okay, we're done, we're good. Did anything even happen? Didn't feel like it. And so, yeah, she was like, I'm sorry I held her hand there. And I was like, thank you for helping me, you know? What's wrong? What's wrong, honey? She's having a little cry in her sleep. Oh, sweetie. And so I'm just going to put my hand on her chest and see if it does anything to settle her. I'm here. I'm right here. I'm right here, sweet girl. Yeah, she's settled. And so I then pushed her body out, which was really, it was the weirdest feeling. I could feel her turning in me after her head came out. And I at one point, like, I jumped in the water. I was like, guys, like, get off me. What are you doing? And they're like, we're not touching you. And it was because she had like turned. It was like I jumped like 3 times, and I like was like, guys, like, stop touching me. What are you doing? And they were like, we're not touching you. That's the baby. Like, she's turning, she's rotating to come out. It was the most unreal thing. I was like, wow. I genuinely jumped thinking that they were like touching me. I don't know what I thought, but they affirmed very quickly, hi, baby. Hey, gorge. All right, I'll get you up. Sweetie. Oh, we're losing our pants, our pajamas. Hey, babe. Yeah. Do you want to just come get her and give her a cuddle? Yeah. You want to go to Dad? Oh, honey girl. She's smiling. She knows you're coming. She's asleep, but she's just doing her little... Oh.
She's asleep.
She's asleep.
Oh, baby, I love this. Watch out, wait.
You got it?
I don't think I have it.
You got it. Perfect. Where was I? Oh yeah, so she like rotated in me, and I felt these 3 like just full on movements, and I yelled at everyone saying like, what are you doing? And they weren't doing anything. And then I birthed her body, and the midwife passed her underneath the water, because I was like on all fours, and obviously they birth behind you, like the babies come out kind of like underneath you, but because their head is facing upways, so they're facing towards your bum. But she passed Michaela to me, but I couldn't see because I had my eye mask on. So she's like, take a look at your baby. I was like, what? She's here? I couldn't see. I like flipped my eye mask off, and then they were holding her under the water, and I like grabbed her so slowly and just like took a look at her, and I brought her to my chest, and she was like purple and like scarily purpley blue, and I was like, this is really weird. She's like, she okay? Like, she just was so quiet and just was like, apparently Mikey says that she had her eyes open, but I don't recall that part because I flipped my eye mask off and just couldn't believe that like they were handing her to me. And yeah, and then it was just moments of us cuddling and like Mikey.
Nice one, baby.
Nice one, babe.
Look at her face.
She's still going. I think that's like the 20th poo for the day. No wonder why she was uncomfortable. She was squirming. Oh, darling. It's going to be a doozy.
No, it sounds like it.
It sounded like it, that's right. And so we just had just the most precious time in the water. She took like a while to breathe her first breaths, and even that, it wasn't like a big loud cry. She just was like making little noises, and the midwives the whole time were like, she's perfect, like don't worry, she's perfect. They were looking for her tone, and she apparently was perfect, but I was kind of like, is she okay? Like, why hasn't she screamed yet? They're like, she's perfect, don't worry, give her a big cuddle, give her a rub. And she was covered in vernix, so she was like white, which was amazing to see because it was like the most cool thing to touch, and it was like a thick sorbeline cream on her, and you learn about all this stuff during pregnancy, and it was just amazing to see it in real life. And then so I had to get out of the bath. We decided to manage my third stage for my placenta to be born because I'd had a hemorrhage last time. We said, look, we'll see how we go, but if we think that we need to give you a shot to make your placenta come out quicker, then we will. And I said, I trust especially my private midwife, who I'd obviously built a relationship with the whole time. She said, on my way out of the bath, I think you should manage the third stage. And I said, okay, sure. But that made me worry about how much blood I had lost at that point, which didn't really seem like a lot in the bath. But then again, I don't know what is normal, especially in a bath of that size. I don't know what is normal. And so on my way out of the bath, Tara, the midwife from the hospital, just shot me in the arm with a needle while I'm holding the baby, and my cord was quite short. So I was holding Michaela more at my tummy. I couldn't bring her up onto my chest because the cord was quite short. And Mikey helped me get out of the tub because that was an experience in itself. Holding a baby, trying to lift a leg after you've just birthed a child, lift a leg out of a pretty tall bath. Like the edges are pretty tall. Like you need to get a leg over and then help yourself out. Walk over to the bed and then have a lie down on the bed with her still attached, cord still doing its full thing. And then it was just, by that stage, the medication had kicked in that they'd given me in the arm to manage the placenta coming out and try and speed up that process. And I started to feel a bit like, oh, I don't really feel good. I feel a bit nauseous. Like I had Michaela on me the whole time. I don't know if she had latched at that point. I don't think she had yet for her first feed, but we were just cuddling and my cord was attached. And then I had to do a few more pushes so that we could see if the placenta was detaching itself. It hadn't yet, so we waited a little bit more time, all while Mike and I are just looking at each other like, this is amazing. Like, she's here. This is her. Hi. And that was the most magical birth that we could have ever asked for. Like, it was insane. Being uninterrupted and unmedicated, but also how I handled that. Like it was just wild. We just were like in awe. It was the most bizarre thing. It was so quiet in the room. There wasn't a billion doctors coming in, and it was just, I remember when I got out of the bath, because I'd taken my eye mask off for the first time since being at the hospital properly, like off. I just remember looking around being like, is that all that, is that it? Like, there's only 4 of you in here? There was some random midwife that was taking notes on the computer, and then the 3 people that were a part of my birth team being Michael, Shelley and Tara, and then the random midwife. And I was like, why is it so quiet in here? Like, so calm. This is amazing. Yeah. Oh, he's talking to the baby. Yeah, and then all I could hear, then the music, I could hear the music, and it was my worship playlist songs coming through, and I just remember thinking, this is heaven. Baby on the chest, cord still pulsating, finishing its blood like transfusion, and Michael next to me cuddling, Michaela just resting on my chest, midwives so calm, so happy. Like, that was epic. That was an epic birth. And then they pulled my placenta out. They made me like blow on a Gatorade bottle to like put pressure down and like bear down. It was really fun. We have a photo of that. And then placenta came out, and they put it in like a little tub next to me. So they kept her attached to the placenta for like over an hour, maybe even an hour and a half, which just allowed us to have our first feed and just relax. It was great. And by this stage, they hadn't weighed her or anything. They hadn't wiped her down. They hadn't even touched her like at all, other than just rubbing her a little bit to get her to like get out that water that was in her lungs from being birthed in the water. And then, yeah, Michael, Shelley and Tara went over to weigh her, and we all got the shock of our lives at 4.6 kilos. And Mike got the expedition of what the placenta looked like and where Michaela was living in underneath all the membranes and the veins that they look for and the whole thing. And he loved that. That was so awesome. He really loved that. And Tara was so passionate about showing him about that. That was really cool. And then we were just left to do our first feed, cuddle, spend some time, continue feeding, because they'd weighed her and done all that after our first feed. But we just kind of kept her attached as much as we can. I'm moving this tripod. Do you reckon she's hungry? What time is it? It's only 9:15. I can pop her on. I'll finish recording this. I'll probably be about another 5-10 minutes. All right. And then when it was all over, it was so quiet, and I had my worship music playing, and I just thought it was the most beautiful thing ever. But then, it was just bliss. It was just, everyone slowly left. Shelley slowly left. Tara was there the whole time, and we just were just ticking our boxes. She was writing up all her notes, and we were just like looking at each other the whole time, being like, that was amazing. That was pure bliss.
Yeah, I think she's hungry, babe.
You reckon? Okay. It's funny because she had a massive feed, and I topped her up with what I had expressed after, which was 60 ml. There's a dummy on the table. Do you want to see if maybe she just wants some comfort? Don't know. We'll work it out. I might have to be quick. I want to say, though, that a birth like this comes with preparation, and I don't want people to think that I just, like, what's it called? I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me. That I just kind of got lucky on the day and had a dream birth, you know, and I didn't do any mindset work, or I didn't do any physical work. Bless me, because that is so far from the truth. And I just want to quickly list, because she's crying, and I've got to go and feed her, quickly list some of the things that I did during my birth to prepare my body and my mind. Shelley and I, in our sessions, did some emotional work to try and get over this trauma. She also did 3 internal work sessions to release my pelvic floor from the inside and do some scar tissue work on my episiotomy scar. I had bodywork done by Gabrielle, who I will link below. She was amazing. I think I had 4 to 5 sessions with her, starting from I think like 32 or 30, yeah, about 32 weeks. I'd seen Demi, the chiro, once before labor, and that was, I wish I'd seen her more, because she really made sure my hips were aligned and my pelvis and my sacrum and everything that was hurting me was like aligned. I did a train for birth program, which I will link, from a beautiful doula in America. I had been eyeing this lady off for years, and her program was really worth buying, in my personal opinion. There was different programs that you had to do from 34 weeks, and it required mindset work, holding ice, breathing through, holding ice, every single day. Obviously, I didn't do this every single day because having a toddler, I just did as much preparation as I could, all my stretching and my train for birth program, which was like a whole workout of exercises to open up the top, the mid and the bottom of the pelvis, your hip mobility, flexibility, and your like rotations, internal, external, etc., through your hips. And wall sits, she puts wall sits on her program as well. So wall sits for a minute and a half, three sets over the course of like from 34 weeks. And I'm sure I've missed other things that I did to prep for this birth, but yeah, I can honestly say I did not expect to have an unmedicated birth like this. I often walked into Shelley's, my meetings with Shelley, saying like, I think I'm going to be screaming for the epidural, and like, how are you going to help me get through them? She's like, it's okay, we'll just get through one contraction at a time, we'll work it out. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. But it was really working on detaching the birth that I had had from this birth and making sure that I didn't bring fear along with me. One of the other things as well that I did was I was open to having sessions with the mental health team at Box Hill, called the PES team. And I was very, very lucky to be referred to them by the midwife that I had seen up until I got accepted into the MGP program at Box Hill. Madison, shout out to you, doll, if you ever see this. You were a dream. And so I, yeah, just worked with the PES team to unpack what had happened in my previous birth and make sure that that shit didn't happen again in this birth. So I had the endorsement from the PES team, which I think helped me mentally feel like I had my army coming with me into this birth, and they were on my birth plan as well. And unfortunately, but also fortunately, I was told that having them on your birth plan really helps the midwives take you more seriously, which again is unfortunate, that you need to have the mental health team behind you for your birth plan to mean something more than what it originally would. But I also felt very fortunate that I had that opportunity to meet with this team and discuss everything. And so, yeah, I felt like I was very much with my army, being the PES team, Mikey, Shelley, later became Tara and Emily from Box Hill, my 2 MGP midwives, and Tara was there on the day, really helping me just get through, you know. So I had this moment that night that I said, shit, I really feel like something's going to happen. I feel like way too good. Oxytocin wise, I feel like something's going to kick off because I just feel so good today and tonight with everything that I'd pampered myself with and enjoyed from our date night and our kick at the Oval. And I just had this moment of like, Jamie, you will switch on when you need to, just like you would in an exam in law school when you kind of weren't very prepared, but you were prepared enough to feel like you could walk in there and give it a good crack. That's how I truly felt, and I did. I switched on at the right time, exactly when I needed to. And like I said, those affirmations that I was saying were truly coming from like a place of confidence. I believed what I was saying, that I was going to birth her like a boss, that I was a warrior, that I could do every part of this and more, and that we were working together as a team, that I was in control, that I trusted my birth team, all the things that I was saying to myself out loud. And so, yeah, I really feel like it all came together in the end. My mindset really switched on after that night of me saying like, you will switch on no matter what. And yeah, I leaned into the pain. I really enjoyed what I was feeling. I can't explain it any other way. I knew that it was going to help me meet my baby, and I also felt like it wasn't that unbearable, so I wasn't like screaming for pain relief or anything. In fact, we didn't use anything in our luggage that we had packed for our birth. So I had a whole, like, I'll just read the list of like pain management tools that I had for labor. All right, so a handheld fan. Michael did use that while I was on the bed with those contractions for the peanut ball. I forgot about that. Yeah, handheld fan, neck fan. There was a neck fan that Mikey had if I needed it. The combs, the wooden combs to squeeze, the acupressure. Shelley had acuneedling that she could have done if I needed it. The TENS machine, which I had bought, and I was so excited to use because it was a cordless TENS from the Birth Sling website. If you have any questions about this stuff, just let me know. I had some affirmations cards that I hadn't yet printed because our printer had broken, but they were meant to be part of my like birth pain management tool list. I had headphones, both over the ear and AirPods. My eye mask, different roll-ons for like with essential oils. So I had like a lavender one for calm. I had clary sage, and I had frankincense and peppermint for nausea. I'd made those myself in like a little roll-on bottles that I had bought off, I think, Amazon, and fractionated coconut oil, and then the essential oils. Arnica pilules, massage gun, deep heat, the rebozo, so the shake the apple stuff and all that bodywork stuff that Mikey was doing in between when I needed it. A heat pack, spray bottle, massage oil, deep heat. Did I say deep heat? I think I missed that. Deep heat, and a diffuser. I had so many things packed, ready to use to like, I don't know, I guess help me progress and jump from, you know, all right, I'll use the comb now, get in the bath, get out of the bath, go into the shower, put the TENS machine on, I don't know, like all the things. I used none of it. Get the massage gun out, none of it. No, we didn't even unpack the bag. Like I really felt like I could handle this, and I did. And so, yeah, I just wanted to finish off by saying that I definitely had the birth of my dreams. It makes me want 6 more kids. Michael and I can't believe how wonderful this postpartum experience has been, because we had such a wonderful birth that was so empowering and so redeeming for me, but also for him. It was so empowering for him coming into fatherhood with this kind of experience where it just all flowed so beautifully, and I powered through it like a champ. And you know, we got to meet our baby in the most calm, magical way. And I barely had any postpartum blues. I mean, I'm only 2 weeks postpartum, but the tears have definitely stopped about crying over like little things and nothing, because your hormones are so are changing so drastically. And so it's been the most incredible transition for me as a mother of 2, and also for Michael as now a dad. Like, it's been, I think it couldn't be any better. Like, I genuinely believe it couldn't be any better, and we are so just in love with one another and what we've created. So it's been, yeah, absolutely beautiful, and I just feel so blessed to be in this position and can come out the other end and say that I legitimately had the most redeeming hospital birth that was unmedicated, uninterrupted. It was a water birth after a big hemorrhage the birth before. Like, that's the kind of birth that I had the birth before is the kind of birth that the hospital would be trying to induce you for, you know, trying to just intervene. They just intervene because the bleed is like too high of a risk, you know. So yeah, I'm going to finish off this video by saying I'm so glad that that's how it worked out, and a lot of work went into it, don't get me wrong. The back end of my pregnancy was spent a lot of stretching, a lot of relaxing my pelvic floor. Oh, the other thing I did to prepare, core and floor restore program. Highly recommend if you have pelvic floor issues, which I did for my first birth. That was another thing that I was doing to prepare. like learning about my pelvic floor and relaxing my pelvic floor, especially in the back part of the pregnancy. That is it. Yeah, thank you for listening. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'm gonna go and feed my baby. Okay, bye.